Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Listen with Vobes. Hope it's going to be exciting. Welcome along on Thursday, the 17th of December 2020 at 4 o'clock, pretty much. Might be a couple of minutes beforehand, but who cares? Who's counting? Not me. Hello to the lovely Julia, to Audrey Forbes, to Tall Podge, to Turbo Stream, to Nigel Sadler. Is the kettle on? To Charlie Cooper, who's wrapping up his presents as he listens to this. Marvellous stuff. That's very kind. When I say very kind, I mean very kind of you to be listening whilst doing something else. And to John F. and Dave of Yore and a few others, I'm sure, who will be popping along shortly. Well, at least, fingers crossed they will, which would be grand. I'm a little early. Turbo Stream says he's remembering his dad today who died 19 years ago. I'm sorry to hear that. My father died 3 years ago on the 20th, which is in 3 days' time, actually. Is it the 20th or the 21st? And we still haven't sold his house. Still haven't sold the house. And I had an email from the estate agent this morning that says that we were supposed to be exchanging contracts and completion was going to happen after Christmas, but we were supposed to be exchanging early this week. And now the bottom one's solicitor seems to have disappeared off the face of the earth. You couldn't make this up. You could not make this up. We've had so many dramas on just trying to sell a house. But no, I'm sure my father has cursed this, and it will never be sold. It will tumble down and the land will turn into a wasteland and will be worth nothing. That is my fear. Ah, dear, oh dear. Lee Lawson says, my father died on the 15th of December. This is his 92nd birthday. I bet you didn't have any problem selling his house. I bet your father didn't curse yours. Dear, oh dear. Billabong O'Neill has arrived. Linda Kane says, hello, folks. Linda Kane, thank you very much for the William Blake photos. They have disappeared into an edit for tomorrow. From the Linda Kane collection, it says in the credit. So that's nice. Who else have we got there? Oh, I think that's more or less it, isn't it? TurboStream says, I can't believe that it is still not sold. Perhaps you should go through an auction. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I'm sure nobody wants it now. And Justine Jones has turned up. Hello, Justine. Very nice to see you. 24 of you are here. Welcome along, all of you. We're reading On Southern English Roads and drinking a little bit of PLJ with nothing alcoholic in. Thank you. Just in case you're thinking, yeah, there's a bit of gin in there, isn't it? It'd be nice, actually. I don't really drink alcohol as such. I do quite like the taste of gin. I'd like the taste of junipers. I do like it, but I just don't drink it. I haven't drunk. I mean, I've had the occasional one, perhaps two in the year. I can't even think the last time I had one. A drink, an alcoholic drink. So I now just shun them because I think it will just mess me up, make me fall asleep. Edward Moulding, good afternoon. Trev's travels by narrowboat. Hi all. Where are you today, Trev? On the which canal? And Andrew Norris, what ho? An auction would be a good idea. Depends if they give us the price we want. That's the thing. I don't want to sell it any cheaper because I would feel that we've been diddled. Because we've had two buyers who wanted to buy it at a reasonable price. I don't want it to end up having to take the lowest bloody bid. Anyway, enough of that gay banter. You had a couple on the narrowboat. Oh, yes, there we go. That was, I had 2 pints. That was the last drink I had. And as a result, you probably saw I was on the floor. Mainly when you were on the canal, yes. Two pints, one in rapid succession. 2 in rapid succession, I should say, yes. Well, thank you for remembering, anyway. For 11 miles, our road led us along a considerable elevation. I can't remember where they were. Maybe you do. They were in oh, are they off to Frome, aren't they? They're off to Frome, I think. And they were in Sherborne, that's right. For miles, our road led us along a considerable elevation, with the silent hills of Somerset for solitary company. Over the long ranges of uplands, mighty patches of golden sunlight and vast cloud shadows swept in constant succession. There were simply two features in the prospect, land and sky. These in time became a trifle monotonous, so that we were not sorry when at last our ambitious road suddenly began to descend down a long and steep hill into the green valley below. So far, since we left Sherborne, we had not seen a soul. In the valley, at a point where 4 roads without a signpost converged, we met a woman of whom we inquired the way, and she didn't know it. On our way down, we passed a deep green glen, in the shelter of which a leafy wood grew and flourished, and very pleasing its fluttering leaves looked after the bare, brown, treeless district we had so recently left behind. Crossing the valley, a gentle rise brought us to the very land of Goshen, a land of rich, luxuriant meads, from which great branching elms arose, and in the meads sleek-looking cattle stood deep in juicy grass. What a change from the first portion of our road! Then, after some more up and down hill work, at the top of an extra stiff ascent, we came to a very pretty spot from whence we looked down upon the little hamlet of Pitcombe, right below us, embowered in trees. So steep did the hillside fall here that it seemed almost as though we might have thrown a stone down the chimney of the cottage of some worthy inhabitant. The name of the village appeared very appropriate, for it is built in a sort of pit within a regular coombe, as a coombe is understood in Devonshire. Then, in another mile or so, we reached the little town of Bruton, charmingly situated in a wooded valley and encircled by hills. A quiet little old-fashioned town is Bruton that pleased us greatly. It is all so delightfully quaint, old-world and unspoilt, a town with a special character of its own, and not resembling any other place. The curse of uniformity and the wearisome monotony it creates has not spread hither. Bruton is natural, and does not ape any other flourishing or better-known town at second hand. It is content to be itself. We made our midday halt here and pulled up at the Wellington, an ancient inn that had a suggestive look of having welcomed and entertained many a tired and dust-stained traveller in the posting and coaching days gone by. The chambers of these ancient inns are something more to me merely than 4 square walls enclosing so much space. If they could only speak, what romances might they not tell? Stories more interesting than any novel. In these conventional times, the railway and the huge company-managed hotel have supplanted the road and restful old inn, and much of the discomfort of all the romance of travel has gone. At the Wellington we found an obliging landlady and civil ostler. The landlady told us that she did not often have strangers there. They were so out of the world, with nothing particular to see, besides being on the road to nowhere. "We used to get a fair sprinkling of cyclists at one time, but very few find their way here now. The roads are so hilly and rough, and I expect cyclists tell each other about it, and so avoid the district. One cyclist who arrived here hot and tired one day remarked on departing, 'Never no more,' which was expressive, if not exactly good grammar, or quite gracious. I ventured to remark that the scenery looked very fine around, and I thought that might to some extent compensate for the badness of the roads, but was met with this rejoinder: 'What's the good of beautiful scenery to a cyclist who's been thrown off his machine, or having escaped this and is too fagged to care a straw about the country?' As I did not feel called upon to argue the matter, I kept my peace. There are several interesting old stone-built houses in Bruton, and some of the ancient inns possess rather good and decorative iron supports to their signs, noticeably the Bull Inn. A pleasant little stream runs right through the heart of the town. We were informed that this was the Brew River, a pointed accent being placed on the word river, Brew River, by the party of whom we asked the information. This stream is crossed by 2 or 3 old bridges. One of these spans the water by a single arch of rather bold design, joining the opposite houses together in a fashion that gives a sort of Venetian flavour to the view. I think we should have a look, don't you? I think we should. At Bruton, eh? Let's have a little gander and see if we can find Miranda. Miranda, on the veranda, was eating her... Can't think what else rhymes with veranda or bran. Anyway, Bruton, Wikipedia, here we go. Is a town in Somerset. Is it Somerset? Wait a minute. We're not in Somerset. Aren't we in Dorset? Have we got into Somerset already? Maybe we have. Devon and Somerset. Well, let's have a look. No, we can't. I don't know. Dorset. Let's have a look. Is there one in Dorset? No. Bruton to Gillingham, Dorset. No. Bruton, Dorset. Oh, yes, there is a Bruton, Dorset. There we go. Oh, it's come up the same. Perfect day in Bruton. Wikipedia. Sorry, I'll show you what I'm looking at. Bruton is a town in Somerset, southwest England, known for its verdant countryside. On a hill in Jubilee Park, the Dovecot is a former watchtower from the 16th century with views of the town. Are we in the same place? Shepton Montew. Wait a minute. Are we in the... Is this right? I'm just looking. Have some very distant family from Bruton. Okay. I thought we were in wherever we were. But Shepton Mallet, Blandford Forum, Yeovil. I know it's there, but where's Sherborne gone? I suppose we must be. Where did we get... There was Cerne. He's coming up. Oh, there's Sherborne. All right, okay. So we are in the right place. Oh, there's Pitcombe. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough, mate. Have you got tiny little fingers? Tiny little fingers. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Oh. Where was it? We were looking at the bridge, weren't we? It must be here. Must be here or here. Which one should we go for? Should we try that one? I'm going to guess it's that one. Yes, he said he had a couple of little bridges. There's the church. There's the steeple. Open the doors. Everyone's gone home. Swines. They're not allowed in because of COVID. Very nice looking place. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that, mate. Look at that, mate. Have you seen size of his nose? Size of his nose? No, I haven't. Can't actually, other than standing on the bridge, can't see a picture of the bridge, but it's fat. Oh, wait a minute. If we go over here and look back. Look, that's not the bridge that spanned in one. That's the River Brew, is it? Oh, look at that little thingamajigamy. And if we come back out there and go to this one, maybe we can see the bridge. Bing. I'm on the bridge. We can't really get to see it. Long house, short garden. Anyway, so yeah, it looks very nice. We're just trying to see if we could see the bridge. Sorry about that. Back to the camera. Interesting how similar the words are. Oh yes, very interesting. I don't know which words they are, but it's very, very interesting. Whatever it is you're lot talking about something else, aren't you? Not listening to anything I'm talking about, rabbiting on. Anyway, Crossing the river, we saw before us a fine church, we've already looked at that, which is very curious, as it possesses 2 towers. I didn't notice 2 towers. Did it have 2 towers? Just a minute. Got to go back to the church now. Hang on, sorry about that. I don't want to be mucking about too much. The church was down here, wasn't it? But you never know, because in this book, the church may well have had one of its towers demolished. Oh, I see. Oh, I see what it means. Yes, it's got one over the porch and then one at the other end. Where's let's have a look. If that's right, so that's north. Oh, that's the west end. And I was going to say for a moment there, as I was looking at that, thinking, wait, that's on the wrong end of the thing. So that we're looking at the, aren't we? This isn't the south. This must be the north. The north porch, which is unusual, isn't it? To have a porch on the north. Or that's normally the... Oh, wait a minute. There's the... Oh, wait, no, hang on. That says it's north. So north is that way. Oh, I'm confused now. Because that looks like the chancel, yet it's got a north tower. Wait. No, but we must... Yeah, hang on. So the south is the other side. Why am I being dense here? Why? Yeah, West Mary's, St. Mary's, Bruton. Yeah, I get that. But I want to have a look around the other side now. It's fabulous, isn't it? Look at this. Look at all this. Isn't this fabulous? Wow. Absolutely fabulous. Sorry. Where's the other side of that? I can't... let's go back to the map. I'm trying to work out where the tower is. And I'm being thick. It's my brain. Where's the shadows? Oh, yeah. So, okay, that is the north. Look, there's the shadow. So, yeah. That threw me. That just threw me because normally you see the thing on the thing. The town is in the north. The town is to the north of the town. So the main entrance is on the north. The town is to the north of the town. The town is to the north of the town. Well, the town is where the town is, isn't it? Town can't be to the north of the town. The town is where the town is. Nigel Sadler's retracted his sentence. I'm not surprised. Mr. Know-it-all didn't know it all. Nigel Sadler, I don't know how he gets away with it. Anyway, enough of that. The town is to the north of the town. A ridiculous statement. Crossing the river, we saw before us the fine church with its very curious as it possessed 2 towers, one strangely placed over the north porch. Oh, if only I'd read that, it would have been all right. The north porch. And the town is to the north of the church. Yes, I know that now. Thank you. Clever clogs. We've got there before you. You said the town was north of the town, which is a ridiculous statement. Go and stand in the naughty corner and put a dunce hat on. For goodness sake. Oh, he's going to slap me when he sees me. Anyway, which is very curious as it possesses 2 towers, one strangely placed over the north porch, the other in the usual position at the west end. Yes, there we go. These 2 towers give the fabric an odd appearance, but why should it be so over-provided we were unable to make out? Yet we realised that the town is to the north of the town. The church, which is mostly perpendicular, has been thoroughly restored within, so it did not detain us. We noticed the absence of the usual east window, and also that the chancel was in the classic style with a plaster roof, sadly out of harmony with the rest of the building. So we went to the town, which is in the north of the town, as everybody knows. The vicarage that adjoins the churchyard is a peculiar structure. It is apparently built against the long buttressed wall of the old abbey. Ah, that's where we were just walking down. The windows facing the other way. Some of the buildings in Bruton seem to be a little eccentric. It can't be any more eccentric than the author. Viewed from the road, at first, we took the vicarage to be merely the abbey wall, for Bruton once boasted of a fine monastery, and this is what is left of it. Just beyond there is Creech Hill, a high conical knoll on which stands a tall, solitary, roofless tower, that strongly reminded us of a border keep. This was a bit of unexpected picturesqueness. Bing! From this spot there is a fine view all round. We asked a boy we found there what was the name of the tower, and he replied, "We calls it the Pigeon Tower." But the reason for it being so called he couldn't give beyond the usual stereotype reply, It were allus so called as long as I can remember, mister." As the lad was perhaps 12 years old, this did not further us very much. We imagined that possibly it might have served the purpose of a pigeon house for a prosperous monk, or monks, though why built so tall was a puzzle. Perhaps for a landmark, perhaps merely for the sake of a picturesque object in the view. For the monks who of old studied the picturesque as well as the useful and useless, as they loved the beautiful whilst rejoicing in the grotesque. I wonder whether those devout and ancient craftsmen, we presume that they were devout, really believed in the demons they so cunningly carved in wood and stone. They made them look so grinningly good-natured that one can hardly imagine that they took their own creation seriously. I don't think it was the monks that did the carving. I think it was the masons who did the carving, not the monks. Those monks sang and laughed in sculpture. Their angels were sedate and beautiful, and their devils generally had the expression of a jovial joker, just like the man who thought the town was in the north of the town. If we may judge them by their handiwork, they may not seem to have taken religion very miserably, at least not the latter-day monks. Let's go and have a look at the tower. Sorry, Nigel, I was taking the mickey out of you because I know it was a slip of the tongue and a typing error. We all do that. It's all right. Fear not. Where's this tower? What did he call it? The Pigeon Tower. Do we know if it was called the Pigeon Tower? Nigel says, "Can I take my hat off now?" Yes, you can take your hat off. Good boy. Well done. Can you tell me what the tower is called? That would be it. The abbey was on the south of the church. The site is the cricket ground. Ah, right. Is there anything left of the abbey? He's got 24 screens. Nigel Sadler is like one of these security officers, and instead of watching the town and making sure everybody is doing all of this, all his screens are all over the place. He's like in a bubble. He took what Boris Johnson said seriously, literally as well, and he's put himself in a bubble of monitors, and he can tell us, of any time period, of any time. He's got a 1213 time period there, back in the Middle Ages, and he's probably looking at the maps, scrolling round, when Google, in those old days, very slow to get their mapping done, with mule and cart, with their little camera on the top of an old stick of some stave or something, probably a hawthorn bush that, heaven forbid they put it down because it would sprout and suddenly we'd have another stream. But what was the tower called? Lee Lawson thought the angels were sedated. Yes, the angels are often sedated. That by the cherubs. The cherubs slip them a Mickey Finn, don't you know? That's why they're flying like this, so happy, because they've managed to sort of knock out the angels. That's a factum totem pole. What am I trying to find? I'm trying to find the name of the tower and then find the tower. Where is this tower? Let's have a look. There's Bruton. Where's the tower, do you suppose? Maybe if I go on 3D, we can find it. Where's the clipboard? Not the clipboard, the keyboard. Hang on a minute. We're going to fly in and find the tower. Where, oh, where be the tower now? Can you see it from the sky? King Alfred's Tower is several miles away to the right. Oh, to the east. Yeah, okay. King Alfred. You'd think it'd be on one of these hills, wouldn't you? Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. I'm going the wrong way. Let's turn ourselves round to the... No, I was going right. The east is this way. There's a beak. I've lost the town that we were supposed to be in, which must be... Is it on the top of this hill somewhere? It doesn't really matter, I suppose. Maybe we can put it in the description. How do we do that? I don't know. How do I... I've got to get out of this thing on. Here it is. King Alfred's Tower. Ah, here it is. Well done. It's a flat little thing, isn't it? Is that all that's left now? Just the... Can't be right. Doesn't it supposed to poke up? I think that's... I think this is where... Yeah, that's what I thought. There we are. Look, that's what it looks like. Rising up like a phallic symbol of some description. Not that you get many phallic symbols with 3 pulsing veins up the side, but I guess that's a staircase in there, and the others are for effect. Mentioned Creek Hill. Exeter Creech is in the north. It does have a location pin, says Nigel sadly. Yes, there we go. Anyway, enough of that gay banter. Let's get on with some serious reading, because time is ticking on now. We'll never finish the book if you keep distracting me. We call it the Pigeon Tower, yes. Out of Bruton we had a long and gentle ascent, and gradually, as we rose, our prospect, confined at first, opened out till to our right a grand and extensive view was presented to us down and along a wide, well-wooded valley. One of the highest points of the hill that bounded this, we noticed, a tall tower showing very plainly against the light skyline. A farmer looking over the hedge, apparently at the crops, told us, in reply to our question, that it was Alfred's Tower, and further remarked, "It be built on the spot where King Alfred set forth to fight the Danes, or the Romans, or some other people. I'm not quite sure which." Is this the same tower? Is this the same tower? From this spot where it was found, we asked a boy to name the tower. A tall, solitary, roofless tower and on Creech Hill. That's a different tower, isn't it? That is a different tower. Surely. This isn't the same one. That's not on Creech Hill. Is that on Creech Hill? South Bruton. I think this is a different tower. Anyway, we can't go back and have a look now. Time's... we suggested the Greeks. Well, it might be them, I don't know. See, I don't pay much count about things that happened a terribly long while ago. You can get to the tower if you likes. It's only about 5 miles off. But the day was getting old, and we didn't see our way to make the long detour that a visit to the tower would entail. However, we made a note of the spot as it looked interesting. This in case we should be in the neighbourhood at some other time. We were content to leave some things unseen. Besides, doing so allows scope for the imagination. It would be a dull world without a little romancing, and when you only have viewed a place through your field glasses, you can idealise about it to your heart's content. I actually consider that there is a virtue when travelling for pleasure in purposely avoiding seeing anything. It leads you to form poetic pictures that the stern reality might rob you of. Yeah, well, in that case, he could get on a train. He's been talking about how he hated trains because you never saw anything. It just whistled through the landscape. And there he is going, yeah, I think it's a good idea to go on an excursion at the British countryside to look at the landscape, heritage and nature, but not actually see anything, because that's the better way to do a bit of romancing. An artist once confided to me that the finest landscape he ever painted was done not from nature, but from a vivid description of a certain spot in a book, over which the writer had thrown in the glamour of his pen. The marvellous word picture inspired the artist, and he painted a dream of scenery. The finest artwork is not a mere transcript or reproduction from nature. You tell that to John Constable. A man may draw mechanically perfectly and yet be no artist. Poetry must be wedded to fact to make a work of art. So, from one thing to another, our thoughts rambled on. Jogging slowly along a quiet country road is conducive to desultory reflections. Is that how you pronounce desultory? Is that how it's desultory? Our road kept on high ground for the rest of the stage until we came to near Frome. It was a grand road too, with wide views on either hand over vast tracts of pleasant country. To the westwards, Glastonbury Tor was plainly visible, and forward beyond, the undulating Mendip Hills could be traced, gradually receding in the far distance till all form was lost in a pale blue haze, an apparent blending of land and sky. To the east we looked upon a distant wilderness of wild and barren hills. The outlines of these were very marked and full of character. Judging from our map, we presume them to belong to Wiltshire and to form the western boundary of Salisbury Plain. Somerset is a land of fine prospects, and its hills, though never high enough to be exciting or to call forth wonderful adjectives, have the charm of wooded bases, variety of form, and grace of outline. Moreover, amidst the Somerset hills are hidden away many valleys of rare beauty, some even discerning the too often misapplied term of romantic. A Somerset valley is either lovable for its tender beauty or charming for its romantic scenery. And Linda Kane says, yes, no doubt, referred to as the Pigeon Tower by locals. The tower appears to mark the site of the battle that took place there in AD. Is it the same tower then? Is it the same tower? Battle site AD 79, says Nigel Sadler. Desultory. Desultory. If only they spelt it that way, it would be easier to read. Then, as we drove on, we suddenly found ourselves in the outskirts of Frome, and we were not sorry to arrive at our night's destination after our long and hilly journey. Moreover, the bracing air of the breezy uplands had given us healthy appetites, and when a traveller is really hungry, a good hotel appeals to him more than the finest scenery. This much I think I may concede, but I cannot go far to say that the finest scenery is improved by a good hotel in the foreground, an expression expressed by one of the modern novelists, and has been strangely fathered on to Dr. Johnson, possibly because he was so great an inn-lover. In the same way, I suppose, that Sterne's saying, "God tempers the wind to the shorn lamb," is frequently quoted as scriptural on account of its sounding so, and possibly, if one put the question as to where it may be found, most people would promptly get it wrong and answer the Bible. A walk round the town the next day proved Frome to be a prosperous-looking, stone-built place set on the side of a hill. It may be a fanciful idea on my part, but I always feel that stone houses and shops give an appearance of solidity and substance to a place, and a general indefinable air of well-being. You can easily build meanly with stone. The general impression that Frome gave us was one, as I have said, of prosperity, and therefore pleasing. Yet withal, the only building of any great interest that we could discover was the ancient and well-restored church of St. John the Baptist. If all churches were restored in the conservative spirit that this seems to have been, I should have nothing but good to say of restorers. But for one old church fraught with antiquity of ages past, that is thus lovingly restored, 99 are more or less ruined, often more than less. The Church of St. John the Baptist at Frome is approached by a Via Crucis, a steep ascent of steps on the rising wall, to the left of which are a series of stone sculptures representing the Stations of the Cross. Yes, you've got King's Cross, Charing Cross, your cross, and I'm cross. From the top of these, we wandered round to the east end of the church to view the grave of the Bishop Ken, faithful Bishop Ken Dodd. Bishop Ken, who dared with royal power to cope. Bishop Ken, I can't believe that there's a real bloke Ken. I mean, it just sounded like, what was his name? Kenneth. Bishop Kenneth. Bishop Ken. Is that a real name? Is that an old name? Doesn't sound like an old name. But anyway, Bishop Ken, it just sounds like a mate, you know. Go and have a word with Bishop Ken. Oh, what, Ken? He's a good bloke, isn't he? Yeah, he's all right. He'll go and anoint you with some ancient oils. Ah, nice. Bishop Ken, it may be remembered, was one of the 7 bishops committed to the Tower by James II. He was buried there, according to his desire, under the east window, just at sunrising. Can you imagine having the choice? Yeah, I've been committed to the Tower for some felonious thing, but is it all right if when, you gizzard me, I get buried under that window there at sunrise?
Yes, of course, that would be no problem. We will do it to you instantly. I have a flick knife to inflict pain and death.
His tomb is a shrine for the Protestant pilgrim to journey to and to ponder over. His grave is curiously covered with iron bars bent into the shape of a coffin, and upon the top of these are laid a mitre and a crozier in wrought iron, the whole being partially, so a slight brain freeze there, the whole being partially protected from the weather by a stone canopy supported on pillars. This singular monument is more impressive than any stately altar tomb, and is described by Lord Houghton as a basket work where bars are bent, iron in place of osier, and shapes above that represent a mitre and a crozier. Not a Robert Crozier, of course. It was the reading from this verse that took us to Frome. Such is the poet's power. Really. Retracing our steps in a niche on a buttress on the north wall of the church, we noticed a carved stone figure of the Virgin Mary and Child, carefully glazed from the weather. What would the ancient Puritans said to this, I wonder, or to any of the other superstitious glass pictures and images within, of which more anon? I do not remember having seen any other external carving protected by glass in this manner. This one, covered thus, had certainly a curious look, which to my mind was not wholly satisfactory. It was beyond doubt quaint, but quaintness is not always a virtue or desirable. Edward Moulding says Bishop Thomas Ken, 1637 to 1711. Oh, Ken was his surname, not his first name. I thought it was just very, very formal. Oh yeah, Ken will look after you. Apparently Frome is the most mispronounced name in Britain. Frome, I don't believe that myself. I can think of some other more tongue twist. Frome, I've been saying Frome all the way. I haven't been saying from or Frome. I've been saying Frome. I know it's Frome. I knew that. You can't tell me that I've been mispronouncing his name. Where did you get that from? I've been saying... You can go back and listen. I've been saying Frome. Bloody cheek. Put your hat back on. Lower it over your nose. I'm going to slap him myself this time. Anyway, on with the show. Entering the church, we saw from a glance within what would even more have startled the eye of a stern Puritan. When we had got accustomed to the deep religious gloom and the twilight saints and dim emblazonings of the stained glass windows, we discerned a rude loft, with a large carving in oak of the crucifixion standing aloft on the top thereof, having sculptured images of the Virgin Mary and St. John on either side. Before the altar, and I am given to understand that this is the right term nowadays, were several hanging lamps alight, and there were gorgeously embroidered processional banners on either side of the chancel. It all looked very rich, artistic and Catholic, and perhaps pleasing to those who do not see it in all, and perhaps pleasing to those who do not see in all these things the mark of the beast. Still, as a fairly unprejudiced onlooker, one who can equally worship in a cathedral or a barn, I cannot but query if, on the whole, all this imitated medievalism is as profitable in a religious scene as it is undeniably picturesque. It gives much offence to many worthy, if possibly bigoted, Christian worshippers. It makes the church enemies in an age where friends are sorely needed. That is, at least, if I read the Times aright. The lesson of the Puritan Rising seems to be wholly forgotten. It was a curious thought that came quite unbidden to me as I stood meditating in that gorgeous fane, but I could not help wondering what St. Paul would say to that ornate house of God were he to come in the flesh and see it. One is getting accustomed to such interiors and notices in the daily papers, somewhat similar to the following, which I extracted from the Standard of 29th of October 1890, now seem to call for no comment. The dedication festival of the Church of St. Mary the Virgin, Worksop, took place yesterday. 2 bishops took part in it, the Bishop of Argyll and the Bishop Smythes of South America, each of whom wore his mitre in the procession. The communion table was lighted with candles, incense was used, and the Augustus, or the Angelus, in fact, bell, was rung at the consecration of the elements and at the elevation of the host. He was obviously in a lift. 3rd floor. Elevation of the host. The ultra... so there we go. The ultra Protestant must be thankful for the small mercy that the term communion table was employed and not altar. Is there a difference then? Is there a difference? Here too is a picture of the modern church as given by the Reverend Dr. Horton in his thought-begetting work, The Teaching of Jesus, a description that is so poetical yet so faithful to fact that I am tempted to quote it. The church looms large, a venerable and beautiful building, the growth of many ages with crumbling images of the saints and storied windows of far-off and half-forgotten things, intricate, bewildering, subduing, a sum of impressions rich in antiquity and associations, half Christian and half pagan, half worldly and half heavenly. And in some niche or other of the great edifice is Christ, a conventional Christ, in a virgin's arms, it may be, or swung on the colossal crucifix from a chancel roof. Perhaps preacher in the midst of a much talk about sacraments, saints, fasts and feasts of the church, confession, decoration, contribution, mentions with a distant something I don't understand it, with a distant reverberance of a customary inclination of the head. Oh, blessed Lord! Sorry, I got slightly carried away by that. I was reading today, by the way, that William Blake, the famous poet, author, engraver, printer, bookbinder, he was a visionary and he saw visions, and apparently he saw a vision of God's head appearing at his window when he was 4 years old. I read that today. I thought at 4, how would you know it was God's head? I wonder if that's what happened to that McCann girl in Portugal. She saw a vision of God's head. coming through. Come with me, little girl. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Leaving the dim and religious interior and walking back along the busy streets of our hotel, it verily seemed as though we had suddenly stepped out of the centuries past into the living present. The glamour and the gloom of the ancient church, with its very real medieval look, made even our old coaching inn appear quite modern and gay. Oh, nice. Which before had seemed quite old and quiet-toned. After our horse's hard and long day's work of yesterday, we determined that we would only make a short stage on from Frome, and after consulting our map, we resolved to drive to Trowbridge, only 9 miles away. A gradual ascent took us out of Frome, and we were soon again amongst the green fields and leafy trees. To our right, we had a good view of the Westbury White Horse, a gigantic figure cut out of the side of the chalk downs, a little below an ancient earth camp. This one didn't have a great big phallic symbol sticking out from between his legs. The position of this white horse suggests the idea that possibly it may originally have been formed to celebrate King Alfred's victory over the Danes. The more especially as tradition and some of the authorities assert that the battle was fought within the vicinity. We saw the white horse under a peculiar effect that at first glance was almost startling. It was a hot east, windy day, with a grey heat haze hanging over all, and the distant downs were merged with the sky. The white horse showed vaguely out of the mist of grey, as though it were a sign low down in the actual sky. The effect was quite weird. As we drove on, we had no notion that any downs or white horse were there. It seemed merely like a misty space, so that the unexpected vision that appeared to rise up suddenly before us at a bend in the road naturally excited our momentary wonder till we became aware of the cause of the phenomenon. What do we got here? Some people are right. I didn't accuse you of anything. You were perfectly correct in your pronoun. I was just saying. Other people make the mistake. Other people do it. Yes, no, it is quite true. I'd sit quietly, Nigel, says Linda Kane. I do as Linda Kane says. She is. I'll lurk at the back of the room, I think, and write my cards. Yes, where's my card? Do you know, somebody emailed me yesterday and said, this is very cheeky, but will you send me a Christmas card? Very cheeky. And then put their address. They didn't manage to slip a £5 in, or a £50 note, or even a £100 note. No. So I don't know what I'm going to do there, because I don't normally send cards. I've made it a principle never to send cards, because there's too many people. You're always going to miss somebody out. I can send them to my deceased parents, I suppose. Although I'm a bit annoyed with my father at the moment for cursing the house and not letting it get sold. In about 2 miles, we found ourselves in the charmingly pretty and architecturally interesting village of Beckington, where the famous footballer came from. Whatever his name was. Boris Beckenham. Not Beckenham. What was his name? Not even Boris. What was it? I can't remember his name now. You know, the one that's married to that posh bird, Sporty Spice. Some of the old houses here, with their high-pitched stone slab roofs, great gables, mullioned windows, ivy-grown fronts, and genuine old English gardens, retired from the road and vulgar gaze by time-toned walls, make delicious pictures. Beckington is one of those unspoilt old-world spots that are fraught with the rare poetry of a bygone civilization. It is not a perfectly ideal village, perhaps there is no such thing to be found, but it approaches very near to it. We had now an excellent and level road, with lovely pastoral scenery, 2 good things combined, and soon we reached another pretty village called Road. that earned some 30 odd years ago an unenviable fame as the scene of a terrible tragedy connected with the name of Constance Kent, a tragedy that may still linger in the memory of some people. Who the hell is Constance Kent, as you may ask? From here to Trowbridge, and we had a grand trotting road, as smooth as a billiard table, to use a familiar and exaggerated expression, a road that would surely delight the heart of a cyclist. And for once we took advantage of the propitious the fortunate circumstance to make the pace, delighting in the rapid propitious. How do you pronounce that? Propitious. I know the word. I can't pronounce it. One of those I'm having a... Anyway, to make the pace, delighting in rapid motion, knowing that it was no exertion to the horses. Charge! Poor old horses, chomping at the bit there. Our short stage soon came to an end, and almost before we were aware it, we found ourselves in Trowbridge, where we pulled up, whoa, at the George, a comfortable old-fashioned hotel set in the heart of an uninviting commercial town. I wonder why modern commerce should needs always gather round its centres so much that is grimy and commonplace. It is the haste to make money that is the root of the ugliest of the age. Too true, never a true word spoken in jest there. I know of some rural industries where the motive power is by primitive water wheels that are essentially picturesque. Bing! I have in my mind at present moment some small country tweed manufactories in Wales where they make excellent cloth and ladies' dress material. The owners, though they produce picturesquely admirable goods, pleasant to look upon. I read that again. I have in my mind at present that some small tweed manufacturers in Wales where they make excellent cloth and ladies' dress material. The owners, though they produce picturesquely admirable goods, pleasant to look upon and lasting in wear, do not make fortunes, but they lead healthy, happy lives, and, after all, mere money-making is not everything in life. You tell that to Mr. Amazon. You tell that to Mr. Google. You tell that to all these. Tell that to the Microsoft bloke who's trying to get everybody injected with a dreadful vaccine. We are at chapter 18, ladies and gentlemen, and we have come to the end of today's session. Let's have a look. Constant Emily Kent, 6th of February 1844 to the 10th of April 1940. What, she lived 100 years? Did she? Was an English woman who confessed to a notorious child murder of her half-brother that took place when she was 16 years old. Did she really live 100 years, being one of the country's nastiest, meanest, evilest felons? The Constant Kent case in 1865 led to high-level pronouncements that there was no longer any ancient priest, pertinent privilege in England and Wales. In latter life, Kent changed her name to Ruth Emily Kay, living to 100. She served a 20-year jail term. Well, golly, so she served 20 years, so then she basically had an 80-year life. So that's just like any other person's ordinary life. And she managed to get a good murder in at the same time. Goodness gracious. I think we're on 4 dings. I think we're on more than 4 dings. Any ideas on the new book, says Michael White? That's a good question. I did look at the potential of doing a Richard Jefferies. They are quite very, very beautiful written, but maybe, I don't know, maybe a bit long in the tooth. It would seem after this, quite something. But yes, we do need to think of something. Another 10-10 reading, Richard, says Dudley Sawyer. Thank you so much, Dudley. I'm looking forward to coming over for some coffee and biscuits at some juncture. We're still in Tier 2 here, aren't we? Could I not just drift over and bring a whole bag of COVID with me? Surely that would be all right. I could leave some for you to smear on the walls or on some of your, your materials, your textiles. That would be good. Marvellous. I must look up who Constant Emily Kent was. 6th of February to 1944. Are there any of Hudson's, says Linda Kane. Well, yes, W.H. Hudson, whatever his name is. I think I've got one loitering around here somewhere. There is a book here I've thought we could do. Which one is it now? Is it this one? This is a very simple little book that I picked up here. A History of England under the Stuarts. It's very heavy, if you like heavy. It's very indulgent. In the first 3 years of James' English rule, each of the great problems of the coming century took an irrevocable turn. Against the Puritans and against Parliament, the King adopted in 1604 a position from which his stubborn character afterwards forbade him to retreat, and by the time his son succeeded him, the continuous traditions of a long reign had established this principle as very first of the royal policy. In the same year, 1604, by making a wise peace with Spain, he prepared the way for a foolish friendship with the Catholic powers, which soon alienated national feeling from the throne. In the winter of 1605, this attempted to secure the loyalty of the Papists for holding out the turn to the olive branch, and sword with the gunpowder treason. Wait, moment, impulse. Thus, all main causes twice set by the wise the king. Could do that one. Fascinating positives. Or, alternatively, there's this one. Church life in England in the 8th century. In the 8th century, church life in the 8th century. Here we are. Here's a picture of marvellous picture of that of some dude. Where's the webcam? It's over there. No, wait. There he is. Look, just there. You don't get to see much of him unless we read the book. I tell you, that is an effigy of Godfrey Gifford, Bishop of Worcestershire. And this is the labourer is worthy of his hire. Whether or not this remark is meant to be the foundation of an elaborate system whereby the church collected money for the maintenance of the ministry may well be doubted, but it was certainly taken as such by medieval apologists, by whom it is this text was cherished and often quoted. St. Paul had always insisted on working at his trade as a tent maker in order that he might support himself and not become a liability to those whom he preached. But with the growth of the organisation of professional priesthood, some method of providing the clergy with a livelihood became essential. Actually, that's quite interesting. I am not suggesting we read it for the show, though. I think we need to keep on the light side of life, but we will work on that. Anyway, everyone will be in Tier 3 soon. It's just another term for lockdown. I know. It's dreadful. It is absolutely dreadful. And here in Guildford, Tier 3. I'm surprised they haven't come up with Tier 4 yet. Tier 4, which is where they actually go round and put iron bars on your house and prevent you from coming out, and then just, I don't know, feed you some poison so that actually, in the end, it's just them rattling around in Parliament going, well, we solved it, we've killed everybody off, and now there is no, we don't need the vaccine, we don't need anything, and then they'll starve themselves to death. Ah, dear, oh dear. Just in the catch of the update of the 4 dings. There we go. Hudson's A Shepherd's Life, says Linda Kane. Yes, I got that. That's quite, it is quite good. It's not as, it's a bit of a tongue twister. I've tried to read that one out loud. But anyway, we'll give it a go. For now, however, how far are we in? We are about I think that's still a 5th. I think we're still a 5th, don't you? Look. We've only got that slither at the bottom to go. So we're getting close. Maybe by Christmas we will finish. Maybe by Christmas we'll finish and we'll have a break and wait till the new year. How about that? Give everybody a rest. Or not. You may be desperate for something to do, of course. A charming book is what Andrew Norris says. Any ideas for the next year's Vobes calendar, or is there one? I think we should. I think we should actually feature. I think members of the Vobes world should take a picture of themselves outside their front door, and we have a lovely door and them standing. We only would need 12 people standing outside their front door. That would be nice, wouldn't it? And everyone's got a front door, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. So that's the project. We just get 12 people to stand outside their front door. They need to be able to take a picture or get someone to take a picture. I think that would be good. Anyway, it is time to go. Thank you so much for taking part in today's shenanigans. It's all been good fun. And there's a nice Sussex border walk tomorrow. I've just got to edit it, but I think it's okay. Should be all right. In Felpham. Pictures courtesy of the Linda Kane collection. Watch out for that. All good fun. Right, that's it. I'm off. Take care. Arrivederci. Have a good one. Thank you for coming. All of that. Bye for now. How do you turn this off then? Oh, it's that knob there, isn't it? What, the one speaking in the microphone, you mean? No, not that knob.